Can you buy a home in the UK if you're living here on a visa? The very short answer to this is yes. But in this video, I'm going to explain to you exactly how this works in a very short version so you can get a quick understanding of whether or not it may be possible for you to actually buy a home here. Now, just to start off in this video, as I said, it's definitely possible. And of course, it really depends on your personal circumstances. Now, there's a few key factors that are involved in this. And I've mentioned this in previous videos before, and it's something I talk to all of my clients about. And this is called the four key pillars of actually getting your first home in the UK. And this really comes down to your deposit, residency status, your income, and then your credit profile here in the UK. And a mixture of those four will determine what options you may have and how cheap they may be. Now, to start with, when we're speaking about your deposit, ideally what you'll have is at least 10%. Now, the more deposit you have, the cheaper the interest rates can be. But 10% is a good mark because if you go lower than that, the lowest that you can potentially go to is 5% deposit. So that's 5% of the property price. It's harder to pass the credit score, and also the lenders that are available are a lot more expensive. So, for example, with a 10% deposit for quite a lot of foreign nationals, actually. So, if you're here on a visa and you've lived here, let's say, for a couple of years, there might be between 5 and 10 different lenders that we might be able to go to. If you had a 5% deposit, really that drops to about 1 to 3 lenders depending on your circumstances. So you can see just by how many lenders kind of go out of the market at that point. Those 1 to 3 lenders that are still available are just the more expensive ones. So yeah, if you can hit 10% deposit, that's a good place to be. What then happens is you can normally get a loan from a mortgage lender of somewhere between 4.5 times to 4.75 times your household income. It's important to mention that this is your allowable household income to the lender. So, although you might have a total household income of £70,000, if £10,000 of that is ad hoc work where you do some work 1 month and you're not the next and you don't really have a contract in place, it can be very difficult to use that type of income. So this would have to be allowable to the lender, and that's part of my job, and what I do with clients is making sure that we're assessing your total situation and making sure that we're going with the right lender based on that, because they have very specific criteria that it's important that we meet. So, just to give you a bit of an example, if you and your partner both had basic salaries, so you were full time employed and you had basic salaries of £30,000 each. So, of course, a total household or allowable household income of £60,000. And let's say you have that 10% deposit that we've already mentioned as well. This would mean that you could potentially buy up to around £300,000. So that'd be 4.5 times the 60,000 is a loan of £270,000 plus a 10% deposit gets you up to £300,000. So that's £30,000 deposit, the remaining as a mortgage. So that could be very much possible. And depending on your situation, really with £60,000 joint income, we might be able to get a slightly higher loan than that as well. So it could be pushing up to the 4.75 times your allowable household income. And there are even some lenders that can potentially go higher than that, but it just depends on your specific situation. So you'd be around that £300,000 mark, which, to be honest, if you're living in any area in the Midlands, Wales, up north, some areas in the south, then that could buy you quite a good home, actually, a very nice home. So if you're living there with you two and your children, that could potentially be possible. Again, it depends on your whole situation because there's other factors that come into affordability, such as credit commitments, dependents. There's multiple others there as well. When we're talking about residency requirements, the the requirements for the cheapest lenders really is that if you've got a 10% deposit, they basically just want you to have been here for more than 12 months, and then normally it's fine. Of course, you can't be on a student visa. It has to be a visa that allows working. Skilled worker visa, care visa, dependent, spousal, graduate visa can sometimes be okay. And normally, as long as you've got 6 months or more left on that visa, then when we apply it's normally fine. So that's a rough guide, and hopefully that gives you a general idea of whether or not it might be possible to actually get on the housing ladder in the UK. Of course, if you think, okay, that sounds like it might be possible for me, feel free to check out some more of my other content, which will give you more of an idea of what steps that you can actually take to move towards this goal. Really, the next thing you could do after understanding what your rough affordability might be, and this is very vague, by the way, is have a look at Rightmove, see what sort of properties might be available. If at that point you think, okay, it might be affordable based on this video, I've had a look online. There are properties that I would want to buy. I've got my deposit. What you can do is book a call with myself, and then we're able to go through things much more specifically. Because the important thing is you don't waste much time looking at properties and things before you've had a proper assessment by a specialist advisor. Because that's what I'm here to do, is to make sure that we can get the finance on the property that you want to buy. It's important that you are ready to go ahead first, though, so make sure you've got your deposit together and you've had a little look on Rightmove and stuff. If you did enjoy this video, then please do drop me a like and a subscribe. It really does help me to keep bringing this content out, and kind of, yeah, bringing it out every day to help all of you. If you did like the video as well, I've got another video I know you'll really like. I'm going to put the link somewhere here on the screen. It's called Everything You Need to Know to Buy Your First Home in the UK as a Foreign National. And it's a really good step-by-step guide that will give you an in-depth breakdown of exactly how things work. I explain some of these concepts, and I also explain similar concepts at every step of the process. So hopefully you found this helpful, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next